recording. Okay. Are we streaming? Let's see. You're live. Oh, cool. Sweet. We are streaming. Excellent. Okay. So the purpose of this stream. Oh, I love the recursion. Oh, yeah. It's continuing to go way down that rabbit hole. That's awesome. The purpose of this quick stream is to make sure I seem to have not enabled the the VOD recording or something in Twitch. It's a little strange that maybe isn't enabled on by default. Kind of feels like maybe that's on purpose. But anyway, so the stream last night was lost. But not really, because as I mentioned, I recorded it. And so if you hop on over to YouTube, you can go to Goju Tech Talk over there. What is Asman? Okay, just so you guys know, I'm a huge Asman Gold fan. Long time. This guy is. So my style is very different. And I'm more of a researcher and coder kind of guy. But I love video games. Like, maybe not as much as I mean, maybe. Look, actually just was checking out Cyberpunk last night, and before that I was playing Death Stranding, and by the way, what I often do with I meander. So does Asman, but what I often do is I run this AI company and I teach at the university, but I love video games. And so often what I'll do is I'll launch the game and it'll kind of sit in the background. And then at any moment I can switch to play it. And oftentimes I don't get to do that. So anyway, last night I downloaded a Cyberpunk, and it says I played for 14 hours. So I launched it, and then I did actually get through the character generator, which was cool. And then after I kind of fiddled around a little bit, I had to get back to work, but I just kept it running. And so here's what one day of me. When you see my progress and you see the 14 hours, you're just like, Goju, no, you didn't actually. You probably played all of 7 minutes. I also really meander when I play games, which would probably bore everybody out of their minds. So, like, I did eventually beat the base game of Elden Ring. I haven't played the Shadow of the Erd Tree. I'm waiting for whatever this thing is. I haven't actually even really looked at this, but I suspect if it's part of the Elden Ring stuff, it's going to be amazing. Absolutely love this game. And this one, maybe I played-ish close to this number of hours. But so my background is, as you'll see on Goju Tech Talk, that I do code, and the first startup I created when I was 25, I think it's in here somewhere, was an online game, a MUD, multi-user dungeon. And that was pretty cool. Nautica is actually still running today. Although I think that, I don't really focus on it too much. Now I'm focusing more on Merly and other things. But anyway, if you missed the stream from last night, it's here. Here it is. So I recorded this and dropped it over. Yeah, and here you can see our Twitch stream. So now this is just a quick test. to see if I've actually figured out how to enable Twitch to save the streams. And I think I have. And I'm going to quickly test that. And then if that works, we will start a real stream and talk about stuff. I'm not sure. I feel like I want to talk a little bit more. We mostly talk about code and technology. We do talk about video games as well. Well, we talk about a bunch of stuff, but let's go back to video games for a second. Since we're on Twitch. Okay, love this game. Huge gamer. Real gamer. The hours will be misleading though. So I did not play 600 hours of Baldur's Gate 3. I did actually end up beating the base game. I haven't played any of the downloadable content, and I do think this is a pretty good game. I think this is a brilliant game. And I'm a huge, my type of game is more the D&D style. If it's RPG, I pretty much am already convinced. You just stop at RPG. I don't really care. I prefer the fantasy genre quite a bit. But like Cyberpunk, I heard is RPG, so I'll do that. And then like Death Stranding, I kind of think of an action RPG because you kind of got your guy and you're sort of leveling up and stuff. So, but anyway, this game I think was brilliant. There's two major criticisms I think I have for Baldur's Gate 3. And maybe they've fixed these or changed these because I haven't played in over a year and a half. The first is the inventory management was a nightmare. I don't know what was going on there. Take a tip from Elden Ring. There's ways to do item management that doesn't make it an abysmal experience. And I don't think they were trying to make it super awful, but boy, was that not great. And keep in mind, this is like, I vote this 99% perfect in my mind. So my disposition here is I absolutely love this game. It's magnificent on almost every vector, except for these two. These are the two things. So these are just my opinions. I could be totally wrong, but I've seen better inventory management systems. And the truth is, I think that I forget the publisher of these guys, but I feel like they are Larian Studios, right? I feel like they are smart enough and awesome enough to do inventory management in a way that had it constrained, because I think they wanted to be constrained and weighted and stuff, and that's fine, but just like organize things in a way that's not like terrible. The second piece that I think Baldur's Gate was struggling in, and this was very intentional. I heard their CEO or game director or whatever talk about this, is they had, I think, like a hard cap on the level of like level 20, something like this. Maybe it was level 20, maybe it was below that. I don't know. But for me, I'm the kind of guy, as I was just mentioning, is I meander. I'm going to mow the lawn as far as the map goes. I'm going to try to explore every little corner. And I kind of could tell that the game was linear in the sense that it's not like Elden Ring open world. And so I thought that it would be boxed to where if I leave a screen, I might not be able to go back. And I kind of anticipated this would be the case. So I did like full mowing of each of the screens before I left. So by the time I got to, I think it was like maybe the third act, my characters were all capped out on their level. Like we couldn't level anymore. But I think it was just starting the third act. And so I had to pull out the mods. And I'm not really a modding guy. I mean, I am if if the game is broken, like in a way that I kind of think it's broken. This is actually the nice thing about being a coder is I'll go in and hack the game myself if I have to. I There's some times where when I first started playing video games where like Baldur's Gate and stuff, Might and Magic, those guys, I would level up and then I'd feel like I think my character should be a little bit tougher because I didn't want to make it so I would just dominate, but I felt like I would be underpowered. So I figured out where the characters were being saved in, like where their stats were being saved. And then I just started tweaking them. And I would break the character files constantly. Like of course I would be backing all this up. And so I totally brick the save game and then I try again and I'd brick it, and eventually I wouldn't brick it. And then at that point, like I think this is when I was like, I don't know, 13 years old or something. I started learning the ASCII table, mostly just to learn what the values were, because at that time these games were really constrained in terms of size, and so they would use like the full ASCII table. This is why stats would cap at like 255, because they were using like a single character in the binary file or whatever for their save games. So then I would like memorize the ASCII table, so I would know what, because I wouldn't want to totally make it where I would just dominate the game because that's kind of boring, but I would want to be tougher. And so what would happen is gradually after I would figure out where the characters were, and obviously once I sort of started doing this, I did this in perpetuity. I was doing this every game. Dragon Wars and the Baldur's Gate, Ultima, Might and Magic before Might and Magic kind of went a little strange. The Wizardry games. I think Wizardry. Hey T, we're talking about me hacking games real quick because I kind of did that a little bit with Baldur's Gate. So we're we're going memory lane. So this is, I'm around 13 years old. I start hacking these. I start memorizing the ASCII table, right? Because that part's important for when it was back to a single character that they were using for their stats, right? This is why the stats would cap at 255. And so I went in and I like this one stops at 127. That's because they're using a signed version of this, but there's an unsigned version that will allow it to go up from 0 to 255. And I think that there's like an extended. I mean, I might be making this up, but I don't think so. We're really going down a rabbit hole here. I wonder if it's like extended. Let's try this. Extended 255. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. See, I'm not making this up. I mean, I make up a lot of stuff, but what's this here? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so this is where it started to get wacky, right? Because these are really strange characters, and I'm just a kid, right? So these are not things like you could type these, but these are these wacky things. So somehow I figured out some way to reproduce these. I think it was like finding them in the file or something, and then copying them and dropping them in. So then I could get closer to. Wasn't as hardcore as do the ASCII tables. So I did. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. That's awesome. So we're all hacking our games. That's super great. And as I was explaining to you, I wouldn't jump to like 255 strength, dex, con, all that stuff right out of the gate. I would just want to be like a little bit tougher. And, 10% tougher because it was like, whatever. And then I'd go hack it again a month later and be 10% tougher. And then eventually, yeah, I would be near fully maxed. But I would try to make it not totally boring, because just having it be fully maxed, yeah, I would still want like at least a little bit of fear of my characters could die. Or I would just buff out one or two of the characters, and so the other three were kind of like not the the tanks necessarily that the first two, the meat shields that the first two are. So it started with this. And the point of this is that when I was playing Baldur's Gate, I was doing the full lawn mowing of the maps. I mean, there were no black spots. It was fully discovered. And by the time I got to Act 3, I was maxed out on my level for all my characters. And that sucked because I had put in all that effort to get them to be buff. Like I'm gaming it so it's like a little bit easier, but that's kind of the way that I play it. That's the same way I did with Elden Ring, is my dude was pretty high level. I mean, he wasn't as hardcore as some of the Elden Ring characters, but he was, I want to say, we'll have to launch it at some, I have to reinstall, I had to uninstall a lot of these games because the size of the media that we're creating for GTT is getting so large that I just did this actually recently. So I just uninstalled Baldur's Gate, Elden Ring, all these guys. Anyway, so the first flaw for Baldur's Gate 3, inventory management. I mean, Larian guys, we know you're super geniuses. Maybe you fixed it since the original game. I hope you have. It could have been better. And no disrespect, game's brilliant. Best game of the year for sure. Set the new bar for action or turn-based RPGs. Love it. Magnificent. Inventory management, first problem. Second problem, the level cap. Now, I heard Sven, I think, from Larian talk about how, the reason why they did that is if you go beyond level 20, especially for like wizards or sorcerers or whatever, then they get wacky powerful and they didn't want to unlock those spells. Totally get it. Okay. Absolutely get it. So then just cap a single class at 20 and then allow the multi-class to level up, which is what the mod did. So then I just installed the mod, and what I had to do, Larian, is I think they had some wacky thing where I had to, maybe it stopped before level 20. I can't remember. Wherever the level cap is, we hit it at the beginning of Act 3, and I was like, that's some nonsense. Like we're definitely leveling up. I don't want to have to hack the character files, but I will. And so thankfully I found the mod, and then what the mod allowed me to do is you just level up on the different classes, and then you can still level. And it was set up where you do brick the game. With the mod, it removes the level cap, and Larian basically allows the game to just die if you exceed the level cap. At least this is what it did when I was playing it. And so just out of curiosity, I used the mod and I was like, is it really capping at that level? And I leveled my guy up, and then it's your whole save file is cooked. So just as a heads up. But anyway, so then I installed that mod, and then all I did was level up the characters in the way they set it up is pretty much fully playable on multi-class. And so my super wizard was now like a level 5 assassin too, or like a thief as well, which was actually a pretty sweet combo. I think because he could do, I think I got him to do backstab, and so he could be distanced, and then he could like do invisibility and then go and backstab. And yeah, there were some really cool combos that I think I discovered. Like one of the ones I think that was super powerful was, and again, this is just me screwing around. I wasn't doing the full like S tier breakdown that I know some people were. Mine was just, I was just fiddling. But I think I saw that getting level 1 barbarian was like a game changer, because level 1 barbarian gets some stuff that then almost all the other classes can benefit from. It's like the rage or something, or maybe it's the armor removal of restrictions, something like that. Anyway, brilliant game. Absolutely loved it. And I hear they just dropped this major update. I may at some point play it all the way again through, but now I'm checking out Cyberpunk. I just started checking that out last night. Did not play it for 14 hours. Just went to sleep and it was on. And I was playing Death Stranding. Okay, I'm not going to give any spoilers to Death Stranding. I think this is a super cool game. I really do. And the reason why I started playing Death Stranding is I saw the trailer for Death Stranding 2 while watching Asmon. And I'm a huge Woodkid fan. And so there's the Woodkid song during Death Stranding 2. And I'm like, oh, I got to play this game. It's not out yet. I'll just play the first one. So I started playing the first one. And this game, I think, it's a beautiful game. It's gorgeous. The themes in it are phenomenal. And I'm going to try to not spoil anything on Death Stranding. So if you haven't played it, these details should not spoil anything about the game. I'm just going to talk about game mechanics in a general sense. And keep in mind, like I'm like a game designer, right? Like Nautica, the MUD, the RPG, D&D RPG that I created like 25 years ago. I think deeply, probably to the level as like Asmon does on the game mechanics, because I'm just like, well, if this was better, then this thing could be like a lot cooler feature. So one of the things that I noticed, and hopefully this doesn't spoil anything about the game, the way that I'm going to try to describe it, is this this creator, Kojima, Hideo Kojima, I think. But Kojima, I think he's this famous guy. Maybe he did Metal Gear Solid stuff. Played those games too. Also phenomenal. And I get the sense that he thinks of himself as an artist, and I think that he is. In fact, I think almost all real game designers and visionaries, they're all artists. They have a vision. And in fact, T, what was the movie that you recommended I watch? This like Indie Gamer or something? It was like Apple TV, I think. Oh, sweet. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Twitch may block you on the link, but if you put like a space in it or something, you'll probably be fine. Anyway, so there's this movie on Apple TV. I think it's called Indie Gamer or something. And it just talks with, oh yeah, Indie Game, the movie. Definitely recommend you check it out. This is kind of how I think about myself. Like Nautica, it's just it's a text-based game, but when you look at the mechanics of the game and the richness, I think you'll get a sense of like, oh, this guy really cares about stuff. And yeah, it's text-based because I didn't know how to code graphics at the time, and also graphics were evolving, and I was like one person, so I was like, I'll just build the main thing, and then other people can build graphics. And in fact, some of the players did. Like this guy wrote a full graphical client that then I worked with them to create a plugin, so then people started using his client that actually turned the text base into like graphics and stuff. So anyway, that being said, when I play games, I probably look at them from like the super critical eye of what I think is good, what I think isn't good, and like really deeply look at it. Death Stranding, I think, is a gorgeous game. It is, in my mind, it's a piece of art. Now, one of the things that I think sometimes happens with artists is they're so mesmerized with the art they're producing, which is phenomenal, by the way. I fully get this, and I would do the same thing. Like, for example, this is our mascot guy. I show this guy all the time because I am mesmerized by him. I think that he's a cool little dude, and maybe I show him a little too much. But I'm just like really happy about this guy. Plus, he looks like my dog. So I get the artist perspective. I get the whole, this matters to me. I'm not going to like not show this thing. The problem though is it's art to you, but once the shiny new sense rubs off, if you still are presenting it as this thing of art and it's like blocking you, it can start to become an annoyance. So let me give you just an example that's not even related to the game, just something that you could do that might annoy people. Let's say when you have a main town, like the main city in Diablo, whatever the main city was. I forget. It was like Tristan, or maybe that's the guy. Somebody can, maybe Taylor, you can tell us what the main city is for Diablo, that you'd go back and hang out and play that awesome Diablo theme song. Now, imagine you're playing Diablo and you're exiting the dungeon, and every time you go back to the main city, you watch the intros. Yeah, Tristram. Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah. I can't remember if that was Tristram was the city or if it was like the elder guy that you talked to, but that sounds right to me. Anyway, imagine now, in Diablo, okay, this game's been out for like 30 years. So if I'm spoiling anything, I'm sorry. You're in the main city and it's kind of a dungeon crawl. And so you're going to the dungeon and you're coming back out and you're in the main city. You do this a lot. Imagine now, every time you leave the dungeon, you go to the main city, it shows you the cutscene that you're going to go into the city. Now, let's say it's like 30 seconds long. The first time you see it, you're probably like, this is so cool. This is awesome. The second time you see it, you might be like, all right, still cool, but we'd like speed this up. By like the 14th time you've seen this, you're probably starting to get kind of annoyed. Like, what is going on? Yes, I've seen this. It's artistic. It's brilliant. Like, where's the skip button? Imagine if there's no skip button. In some parts. There's no skip button. Love this game. But at some point, it's like Kojima, bro. It is. I get it. But we've seen it. Let's keep things moving forward. So that was something that hopefully they fix. I mean, there was actually, like, if you think I'm making this up, play the game and then go into the settings, and they added a toggle that says turn off these specific cutscenes, and by default that is off. So you have to go in and then turn that on. The problem is, even with that being, that disable thing being turned on, it still doesn't actually turn it off. There's something else that happens. I don't want to explain it because I'll get into spoiler. So you literally can't, it actually creates, it makes the game non-fluid. Is that you're cruising along, it's super fluid, and it's like, nope, it's not fluid anymore, stop. And you're like, whoa, again with this. And so hopefully they fix this in Death Stranding 2. I'm not the only one that's complained about it. If you don't care about the spoilers, you can Google this and then read about it. You'll. I'm almost tempted to tell you the acronym to Google, but I'm not going to. Okay, so that's one of the first things. The second thing is that aside from that cutscene, there's like a dozen other cutscenes. And again, Kojima, I love you, man. It's art. But I've seen the motorcycle come up on the elevator 2,000 times, bro. I don't need to see it 2,001 times. And you can skip past it, but it should just be like, we don't even need to. And also, it makes this really loud sound, and it scares the dog, right? There's just like, there's the little overkill on this. And again, I get the cinematic art, super cool, but try to understand from a player's perspective that we're going to be doing this a lot. Like maybe you saw it 3 times. You're like, yeah, that's sweet. But the players that are going to put in 240 hours, like I bet if you put in 240 hours, you probably would be like, hey guys, let's like not force the players to see this every time. Like, what are you doing? Like after the 3rd time, just like don't show it, right? Like there's an idea. Just don't show it. So, and there's a few other things like that. And there's some kind of like, it's strange because there's some aspects of annoyances in this game that are like at first when you're really weak, they're kind of terrifying. There's like, I'm screwed. Like, I don't know what's going on. But then as you level up, like I was like level, I don't know, 250 or I think something, or maybe 200. I don't know. I was leveling up there. Like these things that were scary to me when I was like level 15, like not scary anymore. I'm going to win. And so it's like the random monsters that show up on the map, and you have to go from this continent to that continent, and you'll beat every random monster. The game should be smart enough and be like, hey, you don't really need to fight these random monsters anymore because you're going to win. It's just going to kind of annoy you that you have to go through the motions. And so that was another aspect that, and other players have complained about this, is like it's something that I think Elden Ring did brilliantly, is that by the time I got farther into Elden Ring, like as I was getting to the point to where I was going to do the end game, I would just romp around the map and I would run into dudes, one swing and just, you're dead, right? I'd be on my horse and we would just be trotting through the universe with no regard to our safety because basically we're unkillable. And there's no slowdown, there's no anything, and you could just wail through people. Like that, I think, is masterful. They would do, certain cinematics when they're important, especially bosses, because you're seeing the boss for the first time ever, and you're only going to fight that one boss. I think that, yeah, they might show the boss cinematics again every time you're dead or you died. I can't remember, but it's only really for the bosses. And then even some of the sub bosses, like the what is it, the tree sentinel or something? I can't remember. I don't even think he gets like an intro. He just like shows up and it's like, okay, that guy looks scary, and then he is. So anyway, I think Death Stranding is a fantastic game. I think it has huge amounts of potential, but I do think that there are some core mechanics annoyances that basically I got to the point to where, I don't have much time to play games. Maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes at the very end of the day. And I want it to be something that's like fun. Like I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna invoke my inner Asmongold here. I agree with Asmon that at the end of the day, the most important thing for games is that they're fun. Like they should be enjoyable. And I don't know exactly what that means. That changes from game to game, right? There's no sort of definitive thing, but it shouldn't feel like it's a chore. It shouldn't feel like challenging is good, right? Maybe too challenging is not too helpful. Being too simple is also not too helpful. But like doing things that just kind of annoy the player, I think this is generally like, for example, with the Baldur's Gate thing, the first issue I had was inventory management. Why? Because it was just annoying. It was just like, okay, I've got a whole bunch of stuff. Now I just fought this group of dudes and I just mopped the floor with them. It was super awesome. And now I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes trying to figure out how to loot them and put it in exactly the right spot so I can actually leave the area. And it's going to be a team effort because my guy can't hold it all. And I'm going to have to use it on the NPCs. And then you'd have like the NPCs like leaving for a second and they'd be like, I'm out of here. And then they just drop all their inventory across your dudes. What were they wearing? When they come back, how do you get it back on them? Like, I don't know what that dude was wearing. Like, guys, what are we doing here? So like simple things like this, I think make a huge difference. And you can make a game that is enjoyable, right? And you can keep it into like this A plus sort of category. Yeah, the inventory stuff, and I think something that Elden Ring nailed is their inventory management. At first, I was a little bit overwhelmed because there was like all these things going on. I was trying to figure out like where are my weapons, but then once I started to understand what they're doing, then it was just like, holy cow! Even the way they set up the controller layout, like I think I, I think what I did is I remapped these guys. So these were like all quick access, which turned out to be super helpful for various things. And it wasn't just like the flask, it was some other things. Like I think I started to get into in like a little bit of the later game, you get into maybe these strange exotic items, like you get these perfumes that would do really interesting things. And then there were some other aspects. It's like slipping my mind now. It wasn't related, I think, to spells. Yeah, maybe it was the shield, is you could invoke the bubble. So there's just like a number of things. They set it up to where you could like fully capitalize on all the different setup for your controllers. By the way, if you guys don't use the Scuff controllers, strongly recommend. Strongly recommend. These Scuff controllers are like the bomb. At least in my opinion. They're basically the only controllers that I'll use. And I think PlayStation now is using their design, and part of it is these buttons on behind here, like because your hand fits very naturally to this position down here, and you can push these with relative ease. And then there's a couple other things. Oh, like one of the other things they do is these analog guys, they're embedded. So it makes it very easy to use them in perpetuity. They also have something that's super simple, and it makes a huge difference in gaming, at least for me, because I get sweaty palms. It has this grip. It has these grips. So you literally can just grip the heck out of this thing, and you're going to be golden. It's super high quality. And you can customize the heck out of it. Like I think I have 4 of these. The other two are at Merly headquarters, and I feel like there's some other stuff that they do quite right on this. Oh yeah, and these buttons back here. This is another thing that's really cool. I think there's yeah, is it yeah, maybe it's only a total of 4, but these you can take these out. So I only really use these two, and these two in here, I generally don't like those. And so I think oh no, in both of these I have both of them in, but I think in the other two I removed the under ones. The ones that are on the inside here, if you can see that. So like there's the outer one, and then there's these inner ones. And you can assign whatever button that you want. Oh, another thing that they do for this, which is also super cool, is the triggers that you have. So you have the L1, L2, R1, R2, right? You can see that these are essentially the full trigger distance. I think that, yeah, the ones that I have here, they're set up to cover the full trigger distance, but you can get them to where they're essentially a single, they're almost like the normal digital buttons where you just press it and there's very little travel distance. So if you want to go from 0 to full in a shorter period of time, you can do that. Yeah. So, and no, I'm not paid by Scuff or anything. And they are kind of expensive, but really high quality. Yeah, super high quality. Anyway, okay, so back to games. While we're here, let's just meander a little bit. Fallout, for any of you who haven't played this, like this game, just the whole Fallout series in general is amazing. But I want to give some major like love to where this all started. And it didn't start with the first Fallout. It started with this game. This is the game that started all of this. At least that's my understanding. Okay, so, and only a super old man like me, so Asmongold's not that old, 35 is Taylor's age. I'm a 50-year-old man over here. And I was playing this game when it came out, I think in the 80s. And this is basically the precursor for all of this stuff, as I understand it. And yeah, look at this. This is some old school stuff. And so even though the graphics, right, are really dated, the game itself, I haven't actually played it in a while, but I would actually replay it from time to time. I probably replayed it maybe 10, 15 years ago. And even then, like, yes, the graphics are dated, but the story and the dialogue and stuff, it's way ahead of its time. So if you ever want to go and see kind of the origins of all the Fallout stuff, you know, the games, the TV show, all of this, the whole community, check out Wasteland. Then there's Wasteland 2, which this one I think I did play all the way through, and I was really surprised with how good it was. I couldn't believe how good this game was. Again, it's been a while. I guess I haven't played it in 10 years, but if you haven't played it and you don't mind things being slightly dated for graphics and stuff, I recall this being surprisingly good. And yeah, I believe I played it all the way through. Then, oh yeah, and I guess I played the director's cut too for 9 minutes. Then I played Wasteland 3, and I started to enjoy it, but there were some annoyances that I ran into that are kind of similar to the ones I was kind of seeing with Death Stranding. And they eventually became like, I'm kind of just like a casual gamer now. Don't let the numbers fool you. It's just, it runs in the background kind of thing. And so I wanted to love this game. Like, again, this is my genre. I don't mind if it's turn-based action, like, doesn't matter to me. As long as it's RPG, I'm in. And again, I don't care about the actual thematics. If it's Mad Max Wasteland type of thematic, if it's uh, dystopia, utopia, future, medieval, it's all the same to me. I'm in. So Star Trek, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Diablo, it's all good. As long as it has those three letters RPG, I'm in, because I'm all about the stats and leveling and small footsteps every day. Some of my core life missions. Like I sort of understand the dopamine hit that we get from small achievements. And so this helps me ensure that I'm getting the appropriate dopamine hits from accomplishing a small number of pointless side quests at the end of every day. So when I go to sleep, I feel like another victory. Even if those things, with sales or VCs or whatever it is we're working on is harder, we can get like a few side quests done in Death Stranding or now Cyberpunk. And yeah, I think what was one of the things that I did in Cyberpunk? I got in the car. Side quest achieved. Anyway, some other ones that I want to share while we're here. This game, okay, Caves of Qud, however you say this, really strange and cool. I'll be honest. The reason why, first, these hours are not truly representative, but I did play this quite a bit, and I was fascinated. And part of how I played it is I hacked the heck out of this game. I did it, I think, fully within the mechanics of the game. I don't think that I cheated. I mean, not really. Like, I wasn't editing binary files and stuff, but I was trying to manipulate the system to essentially build out like the super character. And I did. I started getting like wacky things that I think you're not really supposed to be able to achieve. Like this attain 200 psychic glimmer. Like, I don't know what that was, but it's, yeah. So here you can see that not many people achieve this. I started going down some really crazy, strange kind of things. Like, yeah. So you can see some of these were just a small percentage of the people were doing this stuff, and drinking lava. So if you haven't, I think that what happened is the game evolves. I think it's been a while. I think this game evolves with you. And so, and I wasn't quite aware of this. So I was evolving the heck out of my dude. And then the game's like, that's cool, I'll match you. And it was matching me. And so I was insanely powerful, and they were even more powerful. And then I'd end up fighting these guys that would have essentially the same powers as I had, and they knew how to use it. Like, I just basically hacked it to where I understood that I could press a button and didn't even know what it did. And they were like masters of it. And so, needless to say, my character got super buff. And then I was like, I can't even play this because these bad guys find me in like 7 seconds. And let me tell you, when they start getting the stuff that you get, like on this upper echelon, they can do stuff that's like you take one step outside of the main town and you're just cooked. Yeah, I was doing some wacky things. I think actually, I'm not entirely sure, but there's a power in this where you can take possession of somebody else. Like some of the powers in this are ridiculously awesome. They like change the way you even think about the whole game experience. And so you literally like leave your character's body, and they're just kind of in stasis. And then you take possession of this other thing, and you can do stuff, right? So at first you're just like possessing the kobold, and you're having him fight his kobold friends or goblins and stuff. But then you start getting into some really wacky scenarios where you'll have like these mystic traveler guys, and you're like, I wonder if I can possess him. And you go and possess him, and it turns out that maybe he's you. And then you're like, I'm unkillable. Well, are you really? Because lava could probably kill you if you drank it. So that might have been what happened here. Like, I can't actually remember, but yeah, so this might have been so I could kill myself. That was the evil version of me. And I implanted a container of lava on my person. So when they duplicated me, I'd have it, then I'd possess them and I'd kill, because like I was basically unkillable any other way. So like there's like I'm saying, there's some wacky things that go on in this game. I may play it again. The reason why I stopped is I got so overpowered, and the game is kind of matching you, or at least it was matching me. And so then I was like, I can't. I'm super powerful now, and I like run the universe, but I can't fight someone that's at my power level. Yeah. Anyway, check it out. I think that it's kind of a fun one. Core Keeper. This one is kind of fun. It's sort of just like a building game, and you I think that it actually has more to the plot than just that. So I don't think it's just like pure Minecraft. You actually have a story, but you build like a base and things, and you're going through fighting guys. It's cool. It's like a sort of high level resource management kind of thing with the story, and you fight some of these big baddies. I kind of liked it. Let's see. Yeah, Death Must Die. I think I started playing this because Asmon was playing it, and I liked it a little bit, but it wasn't too much of my taste. This game, this Disco Elysium, is that how you say it? This game supposedly got a lot of really awesome reviews, and I think people really liked it. For me, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was expecting something else, so clearly I didn't play it very much. But I don't know. Maybe your experience is different. Yeah, check it out and share any thoughts that you have. The Divinity stuff, interestingly enough, the Divinity stuff I was playing before. This is like Larian Studios, I think. I think this was some of the first games that they were creating. I think before they did Baldur's Gate 3 and all that stuff. And I remember playing this a long time ago, thinking this is like really good stuff. I think it was even before Steam existed, or before I was using Steam, because that's why, like, I think it shows that I haven't played this, but I did play this quite a bit, and I liked it. I felt like it was, at the time, it was sort of like a better version of Diablo. Yeah. So strong recommend on the Divinity stuff. I think that there's like Divinity 2 as well. And that one I don't think I have played. Okay, so are there any others that I want to... Grim Dawn I played a little bit. That was actually pretty cool. Hades... I must have... Strange. I played this far more than 12 hours. I don't know why it's showing this. Maybe I played on... maybe I played on PS3. That might be it. Or something. But this game, in my mind, totally rocks. Super awesome game. Really, interesting genre of, it's like a mix and mash. It's like it feels kind of like it's like a platformer. Yeah, and so like yeah, I heard about Hades 2 and I haven't played it. But yeah, I'll have to check it out. And it's just super great. Like if you like kind of platformers that then give you options. So you're kind of in a room and you have to clear the room. And every time you clear the room, you usually can choose between different doors. And then different doors have different rewards. And then you run into these random gods. And then the gods will be like, what do you want to increase? And these decisions have really important ramifications that if you are picking just randomly, you're probably going to get annihilated later on. But if you're picking really strategically, you can just dominate. But a lot of it has to do, too, with you getting the right gods to show up. And I think that they're pretty random. I think there might have been a way to get certain ones to show up based on different totems and things that you could find. But super awesome game. Like really cool art style. The music was pretty great. All this stuff. Halls of Torment. This is just a silly game where it's just a bazillion things you fight, but it's a cool like time waster. I did actually start to enjoy Last Epoch before I started playing Path of Exile, and by the way, I was loving Path of Exile too. I mean, absolutely loving. Really liked this game, but then I heard that they kind of like totally bricked it with the latest update. And so I was just waiting for some of the hardcore streamers to be like, okay, guys, it's back to not being totally annihilated. So once I get like the all clear signal that they've kind of made it playable again, I might return. But I stopped playing it, one, because I got super busy. And then between the time of not playing it and then they kind of bricked the game, I was like, okay, I'm not going to go and just get rocked. So I'll wait for the community, the Asmongold's of the world, to say it's finally fixed again. But the precursor game to Path of Exile 2 that I was playing before is Last Epoch. And Last Epoch, I think, is like the game's not perfect. It's kind of interesting in that it's one of the first games I've played where I feel like the story. Now, admittedly, sometimes when I play games, let me just back up. Sometimes when I play games, like I'm doing a whole bunch of other things simultaneously, so I'm like not really paying attention. I'm kind of paying attention, but I'm not paying attention. Like I'm very rarely am I ever playing a game, and that's all I'm focusing on. I usually, like even now, I have 3 screens, and I've got the TV over there, and I've got like a tablet and a phone. So it's amazing I can keep my focus on this. But when I was playing Last Epoch, I remember thinking, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, it was telling me what to do, and I was like, okay, I'll just keep doing that. But I didn't know why I was doing this stuff. Like, and you're like jumping around in time and stuff, and it's like, and admittedly, it could very much be that I'm just totally clueless. But there's very few games where I'm like in the game and I think, I have no idea what is going on. Yet the game is actually still enjoyable. This was the part that was maybe the strangest, is sometimes if you're playing a game and you have no idea what's going on, you're like, this is just stupid, or this is pointless, and I'm going to stop. But the Last Epoch, and again, maybe it's just me, is clearly I was playing this. I mean, not that many hours. It was mostly idling, but yeah, you've seen sort of my pattern. I was definitely playing this, and that's a really interesting combination for me to play the game and be excited about it, and yet also be like, yeah, I have no idea what is actually happening. The game is telling me to go and do this. I don't know why I'm doing it, but like, I'll just keep following the direction and keep leveling up and slaying things. So if you have a different experience, like let me know in the comments or whatever. It was like, again, all of these other games that I've played, so we go through the list. Baldur's Gate 3, I played that all the way through. I understood what was going on the whole time. I know what the story is. Death Stranding, I know what the story is. I understand what I'm doing. Same thing with Divinity and Elden Ring. Elden Ring was actually kind of interesting in that I think you are thrown into it and you kind of don't know like what is going on. Like, am I a good guy? Am I a bad guy? Like, why are the guys that like kind of look a little bit evil, like sort of my buddies? Like, is that right? So there's a lot of sort of moral ambiguity in it, which I think is super cool. Yeah. So, but anyway, Hades, all these games, I know what I'm doing. And then this game, and yeah. So anyway, it's still a good game. I recommend it, especially if you like action RPGs. And I do have to say that I just think about this because some of the gamers, I think, when they were bricking Path of Exile 2, a lot of them were like, all right, later, we're going to go play Last Epoch some more. And that's actually what I was doing. I mean, I was playing Last Epoch up until Path of Exile 2 came out. And then I did the switcheroo. So if you haven't played Last Epoch and you have played Path of Exile and Path of Exile 2, I think that you might dig this. There's a lot of similarities in sort of the play style, the skill trees in particular. I think some people are saying that Path of Exile 1, the skill tree is like too overwhelming. Path of Exile 2, the skill tree is like better, but it's still a bit problematic. And like Last Epoch, it's like this perfect Goldilocks or something. And I do recall that it was pretty easy to fiddle with. And I had done major revamps to my character. Like I was trying something and then like, it's not working. And I have to revamp it. And it wasn't like impossible. Whereas when you first started doing this in Path of Exile 2 and you tried to do a little bit of the revamping, like they did by the time I started fiddling with it, because as you get further in the game, like I think I was only level 50 or something, so I wasn't very far into Path of Exile 2. But there was a point where I realized, my character sucks, and I think I know how to fix it, and I need to like wipe the whole skill tree and redo it. But at that point, they had made it less expensive, and so I could basically I had to undo kind of everything, walk it all back, and then walk a new path. And so that was not super painful when I did it, but I hear before they reduced the prices, it was pretty bad. With Last Epoch, I remember it not being hard at all. Like there were some things that they kind of locked you into. So I think you couldn't be like super willy-nilly. Like, I'm going to try this today and that tomorrow and blah, blah. Like you had to kind of commit to it a little bit, but it wasn't like this egregious of, I just lost all my gold. I hope that I'm right about this. Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's probably good enough for now. I am actually, at some point, I'm going to check out this game. I think that I haven't played it. I've heard really good things about Valheim. And when I was getting ready to stop playing Death Stranding, like, I don't know, I really want to play Death Stranding some more. Like, I really want to play it, I think potentially beat it. But some of these annoyances are just, it's just a little painful. I don't know. Maybe they'll fix it in Death Stranding 2, and maybe I'll just do Death Stranding 2. But for the time being, I'm going to fiddle with Cyberpunk and check this out. I had been meaning to play it for a while. Also, actually, I said I was going to be done with games, but there's one more game. I haven't played this either, but I hear that it's really good. It's this Red Dead Redemption 2. So this is on my list of of games to play. Cool. So I think that's basically it for this stream. For those of you who didn't get to watch the first Twitch stream because Twitch decided it was unworthy of saving, and T, we talked about this before you joined. It was mostly my fault. There's a setting in the Twitch streams where you have to turn on saving of VODs, and by default it's turned off, which is probably the look that I'm having right there, wondering, I wonder why that's off by default. I think actually it could be, it's like one of those, what do they call it, dark spaces. That's okay. We didn't lose it because I recorded the whole thing. And so I was telling the Twitch folks that if you want to watch it, just go over to YouTube and it's here. Same thing with this, just in case this recording doesn't work and doesn't save to Twitch. That's okay. I'm still recording it on OBS and we'll still upload it to YouTube. But hopefully this records. And so then Twitch will just update itself and it'll be there. And then I'll just upload to YouTube. And T and I will decide where we do our streams. If we find that the stream community is kind of jiving on GTT on Twitch, maybe we'll do the streams there and upload to YouTube. If we see YouTube's jiving more, maybe we'll switch back and forth. I'm not sure. But whatever the case is, we're having fun. This is a good time. So thanks, everybody. And hope you have an awesome time with some of these games. And next time we will get into a little bit. I feel like I was going to get into a little bit more of, oh yeah, I was. Let me just give you like a little bit of a sneak peek. I was going to start looking at some of the, no, not this, this. I was looking at the variadic functions. And I noticed over here, because I was saying there's many different ways to do variadic functions. I was just explaining C and C++, and I noticed, oh, there's all these different ways, these different languages on how to do it. And I was looking at some of them, and I was quite interested to see some of what I was seeing, specifically in like languages like Go, that this is very, this syntax is very interesting to me because, again, this is just a teaser. We're not going to get into this right now, but just as a hint. What I don't love about this, and I don't know, I don't know. So we're going to have to deep dive into this. In C++, it's just the ... And I think that that's because I can get any type that I want. That you basically go back and you say, I want a double. I want an integer. I want a char pointer, right? That part is really important to support type variance. Because I don't want this variadic function to be done so all the types have to be the same. I don't want that. And if that is what's being implied here, that all of these ... have to be ints. Now, I mean, this is a sum function, so it would kind of make sense that they would be ints here. But notice in C++, you don't say this, or in C, you don't say this. You say what you want when you get it. So you would just say, give me an int now. So you don't bind of the type at compile time. That's actually really important because then it creates dynamic type binding at runtime. So it can be whatever the heck you want it to be. which means that if you're reading in information from like a JSON file where the types are changing because the versioning of the structures are changing on the fly, you can see that, oh, this is this version, it's going to have this format. Or you read header information that says the format of this file is going to be this, then you parse out just that information. Now, if the support that you have forces the variadic functions to be all of one type, that's not so bueno. It's no bueno. So my hope is that that's not what's going on here. This is just an example. By the way, T, do you know off the top of your head with Go if the variadic... See, like, interestingly enough, I like this more. I can't believe I'm saying I like the JavaScript syntax more than I like the... awesome. Yeah, maybe you can teach us next time. Okay, cool. But that part's really important. Again, going back to the C++ one, that see how these can be, it's really important that these things can be different things. Super important, especially if you're trying to do API versioning. If you are forced into a box where each of these types has to be just an integer, it's not going to work. Or it could work, but it's going to be so much work for you to take each one of those ints and then assemble them and turn them into a string of a vector of ints for a std map. Instead, it would just be better if you could just say, this is a std map of std strings using std vectors of ints. And then it knows that, oh, that's what I'm getting. Oh. So what Taylor just said is, from what I could find, Go does require you to specify a concrete type for the parameter in the variadic function. Oh. Yeah, that's... See, this is an abstract type. Abstract variadic type list. Okay, so what T says, you cannot declare a variadic function in Go that accepts arguments of arbitrary... Oh my goodness. Go. What have you done? Thanks, Perplexity. Now, I guess the big question is Perplexity correct? If Perplexity is correct, and stochastic AIs have been known to not be correct, and if you don't believe me, just watch this video. Now, if it's correct, Go. What did you do? Come on, guys. Like, do you not understand? Okay. If I wanted a variable size thing of all the same type, do you know what I would do? Or just do that, guys. I don't need a variadic function to do that. It's just a std vector. It's a std list of whatever that is. That gives me a variable size container of all the same type. That's not the purpose of variadic lists. Go. I'm so confused right now. We're gonna have to look into this in more detail. That does seem to be like, why would you? Do they not? Maybe they. This is so strange to me. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna practice my inner Zen. I'm gonna do my deep breaths because I'm gonna stay calm. This is the stuff that, like, my my temperature. I don't get bothered at all. The board can yell at me, and the company can be struggling, or whatever. Like computers can be crashing, all this stuff. Products are not working. That's fine. But you design a programming language the wrong way, I'm going to start getting real finicky over here. Like, okay. I'm hoping that I just don't understand. I'm gonna foster goodwill and assume that even with the things that Taylor is teaching us, I'm going to assume that I still don't understand, and there's some magical thing that if I understand more, it supports real variadic lists that are not simply just like, again, guys, if you wanted a container that had a variable number of the same type of information, what do? This is like CS 101 stuff. You don't need a variadic list for this. This is solving a totally different problem. I mean, it's a problem that's already solved. I'm super confused. Okay. I can feel my heart rate accelerating, and I'm gonna bring it down, Goju. All right. With that said, we clearly have something to talk about next time. Thanks, everybody. Twitch is getting fun and amusing, and maybe when we stream on Twitch, we'll have more game centric, and then we'll deviate. By the way, okay, last anecdote. The reason why I got into all of this stuff is very much the reason why I think most of the people that get we do need, yeah, it'll be like right over here. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, I'll just put up a number. So this is approximately this is approximately the number that I feel like I was approaching when I was thinking about the Go thing. That's just me giving you the honest number. And just so you know, my resting heart rate is usually around this number. So it was at this number, and then I feel like I was approaching this number, just to give you a sense of the change. That's the inner stoic in me. Deep breaths. So anyway, this stuff here, largely, at least for me, this was inspired by wanting to create this stuff. And so if you guys love this stuff, then I have a sneaking suspicion that I can get you to be super excited about this stuff, because this is the stuff that makes that stuff work. And now with machine programming, we're likely going to do way more awesome stuff in this space, much faster, much higher fidelity, and not end up like bricking games. No disrespect, Path of Exile. Love you guys. Clearly, you have a huge amount of heart and care, and that's like the most important thing. Okay, I'm out. Thanks, cheaters. We'll talk again soon.